Hello everyone, welcome back to Việt Mỹ channel. My name is Rachel Quý and this is Dr. Phạm Hiếu Lim. Hello Dr. Lim, how are you?
Hi Rachel and hello everyone.
All right, well today as you seen on the screen right here, the topic we will talk about is 2024 is a chance for a big reform. Why so? Before we start the program, my first question is, have you voted yet? Okay, have you voted? Please write your comment below because I know many states now they have opened up for early voting. So I hope that many of your answer is yes, you already vote. But if you have not voted, make sure you do so. Okay, and right now, please take over.
Well, my mom is 101 years old and she's have voted. So what's your excuse for not voting? So everyone should get out and go to the precinct voting station and cast your vote.
That's right.
Well, today we're talking about why 2024 is a chance for a big reform. Well, our country, the United States of America, is in some trouble. Uh, and the reason is because people are using our fear. They make us afraid and give away some of our basic constitutional rights in the last few years. And it started in 2001 when the terrorists attacked the Twin Towers. And because of the fear of terrorism, we agreed to the Patriot Act. And the people who altered that Patriot Act really had other ulterior motives inside. Chief of all was the Vice President Dick Cheney, and he's not a good character. He has dark motives. He liked to control people, and at that time, after the collapse of Soviet Union, the Republican Party with the family of Bush Cheneys and the Democrat Party with the Clinton family and later the Obama family. But at that time, it was Clinton and Bush families plus Cheney. And they already have a uni-party behind to control America for the interests of the globalists, follow the globalism first in the economy and then in politics. But they took advantage of our fear, during the terrorism in New York City in 2001, and passed the Patriot Act through Congress. And ever since, they were able to do surveillance in America, in Americans, thing that they shouldn't be doing, but they were able to do that. And then they violate other constitutional rights as well. And then later, during the Obama time, he weaponized the Justice Department and the FBI. So the old deep state of military-industrial complex, together with the intelligence and foreign service, and then the Uni Party, and then now they have the Justice Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They control us, they divide us in many ways, and the Democrats like to use intersectionality to divide us along the line of racial and genders and sexual orientation and this and that. They make us always in a unstable situation. And then came the COVID-19 pandemic, and they declare emergency power, not only in the federal government, but also in the state government. And after that, they didn't completely return the basic constitutional rights to us. They extend the emergency powers in one way or another. In some states, they never stop the emergency power of the governors, and so on. So they violate our First Amendment and other basic rights that the Americans should have the right, and the government do not have the right to violate. And yet they got away with it because lately there's no transparency in government. They are all kind of dark secret, and anybody who dare to question that will be labeled as conspiracy terrorists. But as it turned out, a lot of this so-called conspiracy theory was true. So Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, he came up with a famous quote. He said, we have to come up with new conspiracy theories because all the old ones have turned out to be true, which is kind of funny, but it's the truth. And then, of course, we lost all this constitutional right, and they censor us. They use fact-checking in order to censor us, dispute our statement, even though if we tell the truth, they will say, no, it's not truth, and therefore you can't say that. Well, that is un-American, and we have to get back some of that. Only a few months ago, I wouldn't dare that we can reform our government. When President Trump ran for office in 2016, he promised to drain the swamp of Washington, D.C. And so when he tried to do that in his first term, he was successful with his policies in the economy and foreign relations and so on. But he could not really drain the swamp because the swamp actually attacked him and sabotaged his efforts. And finally, with the pandemic of COVID-19, they were able to have an unusual election, and he lost. But this time around, only a few months ago, I couldn't dream that we can do a big reform. But for some, miraculous events, all of a sudden, on the side of Trump and Vance, we have Ramaswamy, we have Elon Musk, we have Tulsi Gabbard, we have Robert Kennedy Jr., we have Nicole Shanahan, all these people who came from different part of lives, different part of society sections, different part of political persuasion. All of a sudden, they come together in one side, the side of Make America Great Again, the MAGA side. And with that, and with their intellectual powers, with their abilities, and with their support, that I think Trump and this government, if they win the election this year and start to have the power next year, we can be doing the huge reform that really needed for the United States of America, because since the collapse of the Soviet Union, our elite, our ruling class have really ruined this country, because behind the scene, they're really together. So now the big reform that we really need is a huge, number one, transparency in government, and number two is accountability for those who violate the constitutional rights of Americans. And Mr. Trump already said that Elon Musk can help to reform the government and cut all the waste, because really federal government has become so big and so intrusive. We all know that by the Constitution, the federal government will take care of legal system, security system, defense, and certain aspect of justice, and collecting taxes. But other than that, the federal government have no other functions. But they started expanding now in, education, safety, medical care, and all that things that really doesn't involve the power of the federal government. Everything else have to be with the state government, where people can really vote on these issues and not a federal one. So we need a reform to not only cut the waste, but also to get back our basic constitutional rights, which have been taken away by things like the Patriot Act and by the power of the emergency during the pandemics and so on. We need to get all of that back. And we demand transparency in federal government, and we demand accountability in our federal government. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Lim. What is your guy think about this topic right here? And what is your experience throughout the past 3.5 or 4 years under the Biden and Harris administration? Have you feel the restriction of your freedom of speech? Myself, I'm the first-hand witness because I've been doing media since 2020, and right after January 20th of 2021, I noticed that they, especially YouTube or Facebook, they tighten up all the information, what they want to be on YouTube and what not, and whatever information they don't want, and they just don't show. They use algorithm to limit the view of my video. So that is one way that they control or they take away the freedom of speech. How about you? What is your experience? Please comment down here, okay? How about you, Dr. Lim? Have you faced any challenge yourself that being control or take away your freedom of speech?
Well, since I have been retired, so it didn't affect me directly, but some of my friends who are still in practice, and before there was any FDA-approved medication to treat the virus, some of my friends tried to use the medication that have been proven effective to treat the SARS-1, which is the coronavirus of about 10 years before the SARS-2, which is the COVID-19. And when they used those medications, they was immediately told by the pharmacist that they will not fill the prescriptions because there's some memo from the NIH or from the CDC or something like that tell them that don't fill those prescriptions, and that is a violation of the right of the physician to try to help patients, especially where there's no FDA approval to treat this condition, and these patients are dying, and the physician has a right to use whatever mean they think is most reasonable to save the patients. So it's a matter of life and death. And some of my friends was blacklisted because of that, and that is another violation of their right.
I see. You see, that is why more than ever we need a big reform in America in 2024. All right. Now go to one of the topic that we want to talk about too is, as you know about Tim Walz, that he pro-China. He went to China for over 30 times throughout his years as a governor and throughout the 30 years. And recently, the past 3 days, there's a news came out that it talked about that he used to date the lady named Jenna Wang, and who is a daughter of the high rank of the Chinese Communist Party. Dr. Lim, could you share a little bit more about this information as well?
Yeah, well, it was a love affair between two adults, two willing adults. And at that time, if Tim Walz was not married and that lady also was not married to somebody else, then it's not big a deal, except that, the Chinese always have a leverage on them. And I'm afraid that this is just something that they want us to know, but there may be some other things like financial arrangement or something that benefit Tim Walz, that they will use that as a leverage to make him make his situation highly compromised for the security of the United States if he ever got into the White House as the vice president. I think that's something that Congress is investigating right now, and we have to be very careful about Tim Walz. I don't think, no American should cast a vote for Tim Walz at this time.
Yeah. Oh, so your point is maybe right now they put out this news to cover up anything related to
Yeah,
the money or so on.
that's right. This thing is sensational, but if he was single then, have not married yet, and if she was single and they were willing to have an affair with, and that's their own thing. But I'm afraid that Congress is investigating Tim Walz because some whistleblower in the Homeland Security have issues with him, his relationship with Communist Chinese. So I think that thing will be more significant, especially if there's any kind of financial shenanigans that they can use that as leverage, that he is compromised to the security of the United States. But until that issue is completely clear, nobody should vote for Tim Walz.
I see. Wow. That definitely makes sense because this news originally is from Daily Mail, and now if you go on Google and you type up like Tim Walz dating Chinese girl, and then there are many sites talking about this. Let's say Newsweek. Usually, if you read Newsweek, they are pro Democratic Party, and then also New York Post. Now they talk about that. Washington Times, they talk about that. So another point, Dr. Lim pointed out, maybe they meant to push this news up, so we all focus on this news, but we forget about the most danger act that he have related to Chinese Communist Party.
That's right. That's right.
That's one of the game the Communist Party always do, huh?
Yeah, this piece of news is sensational and very eye-catching, and but behind the scene there might be things that are more serious, more serious for our security and safety as Americans and the United States of America. So don't forget that. And I think Congress is actually investigating right now, and until they clear him, we shouldn't vote for him.
Yes. All right. Well, very wise of Dr. Lim, right? Because usually when we see the news, we will stick to that news. But then, hey, you know what? Think further than that too. Why the media pushing this news up? Right? Maybe they cover up something else that they want to draw your attention somewhere else.
That's right.
Interesting.
That's right.
All right. And another thing we want to talk about too is like good news for those who supporting Team Trump and Vance. Recently, there's a lot of articles or discussion about that Donald Trump potentially win landslide. What is your thought of that as well?
Well, I hope that he win. Landslide would be better, but whether or not it landslide, it depends on whether or not he win Pennsylvania. If he win Pennsylvania, it can be a landslide. If he doesn't win Pennsylvania, he might still win, but it won't be a landslide.
But why Pennsylvania? Because there's 7 battleground state, but why Pennsylvania in particular?
Well, because Trump is clearly ahead in Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, and probably Nevada. So that will leave the blue walls of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And Pennsylvania has the most vote. So if Trump wins Pennsylvania, he will get a lot of votes just by winning Pennsylvania alone and secure Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, who have more than 271 electoral votes to win the presidency. But everything else after that is just icing on the cake. And so, and if you're icing on the cake, you can get to over 300, and that would be a landslide.
All right. Well, for those, for whoever watching the video, if you live in Pennsylvania, can you please keep us updated? How is the momentum there as well, and how is the people there voting? Because now I'm pretty sure that they open up for early voting. So the people in Pennsylvania, are they rally more for Trump or more for Kamala? Can you please update it here as well? Thank you. Anything else that you want to share?
The reason that we do this program for younger Vietnamese American generations
Mm-hmm.
is that I have lived my American dream. I came here as a young man. I got to the high echelon of academic medicine. I made everything out of myself, have a nice wife, a nice family, and a nice homestead. So I live my American dream, and I know the American dream is a very good dream. You have freedom, you have financial security, and you have nice families and relationship. And uh, lately, because of the inflation that caused by Biden and Harris, reckless spending and stupidity in energy, the American dream seems to be slipping out of reach for younger generations of Americans. Um, the younger generation had to put up with higher price and keeping getting higher, and also the higher interest rate. And if you can't buy a house, and if you can't secure the payment for your house, then after 30 years, you ended up with very little in your pocket and you won't have a secure retirement. So, having freedom, having nice family, having you know good financial security, that is the American dream. And with the current government, Biden Harris, they destroyed your American dream. And I like to help you together with a big reform from the Trump Vance um, administration with the help of Elon Musk and Tulsi Gabbard, Robert Kennedy, and so on, to keep the inflation under control, keep government under control, get our basic constitutional right back, and get the jobs moving, get interest rate down, and make life in the United States pleasant and affordable and freedom with freedom for everyone.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Dr. Lim. And another thing I want to share too. Recently, I went to Trump rally in Georgia, and one of the things that I see is like a lot of young folks, not just senior folks, but like a lot of young folks in their early 20s, 30s, right? That is the great momentum that I see, and I myself went to rally before back in 2020s, but now I see a big difference. So I think that's another movement. Like a lot of young folks, they maybe they used to vote for the blue party, but now they switching because they see the importance of the MAGA movement. What is your thought on that as well about the young generation?
I think that right now, I think General Z, they kind of woke up
Mm.
and they've become more religious and more capitalistic because they know that socialism is what caused the inflation and that caused the American dream out of their reach. So, in order to um, get back the American dream, you have to elect the people who can control inflation and get the interest rate down and keep the price reasonable, keep the jobs secure for Americans. So, America first is what they need right now. They don't need the American government like Biden and Harris who go take care of NATO and take care of this and that have nothing to do with Americans. So right now we need to help America. And you know, throughout the 20th century, there were war because Americans involved in internationalism, and I was involved in that, and with during the Vietnam War. But there
Mm-hmm.
was World War One, World War Two, and then Korean War and Vietnam War, Cold War, and then all this terrorism war. That is because Americans involved too much in internationalism, but that time have passed. We don't need to control petroleum in all over the world because right now we have enough energy for ourselves. We have plenty of petroleum here in the United States. Plus, the motors are moving toward electricity. So we just have to find a way to produce electricity instead of trying to control oil. And controlling oil is what caused all the war of the 20th century. So the solution of the 21st century is different from the 20th century, and the nuclear weapons make warfare now more deadly and can be the end of the world if we have a world war with nuclear weapons being used, or if anybody use it. So we have to stay with peace. We have to be defensive. We have to be strong, but peace through strength instead of get involved with some war and some other people business. And so I think that's the solution of the 21st century for the United States would be America first.
Awesome. Hey guys, you are listening to the man who lived through the generation and lived through the history of World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, and now United States, right? Through the ups and downs. So, hey, I know Dr. Lim, he doesn't need to do this because of fame. He doesn't need to do this because of money. Like Donald Trump, right? He got loaded. He don't even need to do this. But why Dr. Lim is sitting here do the video for you guys, right? Because of patriotism in him. He loves America and he want to keep America great. So please do what you need to do and make sure you go out and vote rightly. Vote wisely for Republican, for Trump and Vance. Thank you, Dr. Lim. Is there anything else you would like to share before we end this video?
Well, please help Trump, Vance, Elon Musk, Robert Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Ramaswamy to do the big reform for the United States of America, to get back the American dream for all Americans of all generations. We can do it, and we should do it. And we demand transparency and accountability in our federal government. It's due time. And we need to get away from that Patriot Act. We need to get away from the emergency power that the government dropped from us during the COVID-19 pandemic. And just like Benjamin Franklin once said, he who temporarily traded liberty, he who temporarily traded liberty for security will get neither liberty or security. He'll get none. So liberty is something we can't trade.
Awesome. Great sharing. All right, parents, if you're listening to this video, please share this video to your children, your nieces, nephew, and for the young folks who listening to this video, please share it out to your friend. Thank you very much, Dr. Lim. Thank you everyone for watching this video. And right now, we want to say farewell and see you in next video.
See you.